Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Office Lovers, along Ryo Kaido's route, on Chapter 4, Connected by Love. In the last episode, we had a passionate kiss, though of course he said it was basically to teach us a lesson, and it wasn't anything affectionate, and he challenged us to kiss him back the same way, but he fled the room before we could try to. Although we said we would try, but I guess it was for another time. I'm so confused. But hopefully we'll meet that challenge soon. Let's see if we do it in this chapter. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. Mr. Kaido, did you check that proposal I gave you yesterday? He handed me the proposal.
I marked some spots I need you to fix. Do that, then get everyone's copies for the meeting.
Okay, thank you. As I took the proposal back, I stole a glance at him. He's so focused, he's not even looking away from the computer screen. He's been doing this new project, and is still working in PR. He's got to be so busy lately. And with all those wrinkles on his brow, he sure looks exhausted.
What? Do you need something else?
He raised his head and gave me a quizzical look. He used to get mad when I'd stare at him like that. I guess he doesn't do that anymore. Nothing. Thank you for the proposal. Maybe he's just used to me staring at him now. I gave a deep bow and shuffled back to my desk. As I sat down, I let out a huge sigh. You okay, Dirili? The girl next to me called out to me in a voice barely above a whisper. You look absolutely exhausted. Was the proposal rejected? Oh no, I just need to fix a few bits here and there, and then it should be okay. Thanks. I just haven't been sleeping well lately, that's all. Really? You sure you're okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I just need to get used to the job, I think. Who am I kidding? It's not the job, it's Mr. Kaido. Okay, well, don't push yourself too hard, okay? But I'm sure you'll be fine. You have Mr. Kaido as a partner, and he's such a nice guy. Yeah, sure. Mr. Kaido is so nice to all the other girls here, but for whatever reason, not me. Girls from other departments keep telling me how jealous they are that I'm working with him. I wonder if the mean bullying side of Mr. Kaido is who he really is, and the rest is all a front. But I can never tell any of the other girls here. Thanks for your concern. After thanking her, I flipped through the pages of the proposal Mr. Kaido checked. Markings requesting simpler, cleaner sentences are written here and there. He's good at his job, trusted by the higher-ups, and nice to all the female staff. So then, why is it that when we're alone together, he flips a switch and becomes such a huge jerk? And I don't know if it's just my imagination or what, but has he been avoiding me lately? I have no idea. It's so confusing. He's probably confused too. You put makeup on and he's suddenly attracted to you. Well, more attracted. Finally, it's the day of the long-awaited staff meeting.
Okay, the topic for today's meeting is the manicure set's color. Dirili, you have the floor.
Thank you. So, that's our proposal. Well, nothing! My proposal was nothing! I finished the presentation and returned to my seat next to Mr. Kaido. Mr. Saijo gave me a little wink from across the table. Everyone seemed to be responding well.
Okay then. Anyone have any opinion on the plan we just heard? Yes, I do. Mahiro, yes? I think it's fantastic. Good job, Dirili. Mahiro smiled at me and gave me a thumbs up. When we had eaten lunch before, Mahiro had seemed sort of concerned. But after hearing today's proposal, he seemed totally on board with it. I originally thought red was a definite option too. But having a basic red wouldn't make it stand out enough. It would be so boring. But what Dirili suggested is still fashion-forward and at the same time has a lot of originality. It's great, and I just got the best idea for a design concept. I can't wait to work on it tomorrow. Oh, so I inspired you! After Mahiro's comment, Mr. Kaido leaned in and whispered in my ear. Mahiro still seems as loud and emotional as ever. But he has good instincts when it comes to this. Looks like your color plan was a big success. Good job. As Mr. Kaido continued to run his pen along the page, I saw the corners of his lips turn up. Not expecting that smile, I found myself taken aback and my eyes grew wide. What? Thank you. Thank you. Don't mention it. When I thanked him, he gave a curt nod. I'm so happy. Hearing such a frank, straightforward compliment filled me with happiness. Just then. Sorry, I do actually have just one question. Ken hesitantly raised his hand. Yes, please. Fire away.
Ken nodded and stood and looked at Mr. Kaido and I directly in the eyes. In the quiet of the conference room, Ken's soft voice echoed. I agree with Mr. Kunizu's opinion. Ken stared me down. What's up with that? But what's the overall concept? The concept? Does he mean what kind of styling we had envisioned for this color? We should all be on the same page about what the theme should be.
That is very true. My team's made the most progress. We should plan on bringing you guys up to speed. Do you have a concept you could propose to us right now, Dirili?
Yes, I've been thinking about one. Mr. Kaido and I had talked about it at length, and we decided on one theme. Our main theme is a first date with that someone special. So, we were thinking about our concept being about love. A first date, huh? I like it, but that love idea fits perfectly with the Christmas time.
I agree. Reddish pink with white glitter. That's love. I have the absolute perfect design in mind. Oh, I think I have to agree with you. Love is an easy sell. It'll fly off the shelves. And it's the perfect theme for the color you two came up with. Red is on trend this year, so this color is perfect. Close enough, but still different. And the love theme will definitely be well received by women. I agree with Saijo.
Lots of opinions about the concept flew around the table, but each one was positive. I'm so glad everyone seemed to approve of the idea. I looked at Mr. Kaido, and he nodded approvingly.
That ideal date of yours may not be so far off. Now all you have to do is find a man. If you can, that is.
Mr. Kaido, you're so mean to me. As usual, he's still saying mean-spirited jokes at my expense. I released the tension I had been holding on to and slouched down into my seat.
Simply incredible.
An applause rang out through the room. Immediately after presenting my concept, Mr. Otori had stepped into the room. Mr. Otori! Mr. Otori stood there, beaming at us.
Sir, what happened to your sales meeting? Oh yeah, I showed up to that, but I wanted to know how things were going, so I finished it early. You should have seen the look on their faces when I up and walked out of that room. You do know that we are the ones who are going to pay for that. Please, those meetings are pointless. They just like to suck up to me and hear themselves talk. I said what I needed to say in 10 minutes. I just saved myself about an hour. And plus, no matter what happens to us, we had the amazing Hyoga here to deal with any problems. Ugh.
Mr. Hyoga, looking more exhausted than usual, let out a giant sigh. Poor Mr. Hyoga, he is going to be so busy. When I do his route, we're like barely going to have time for each other. Mr. Hyoga was usually terrifying, so seeing him like this was rare. Mr. Otori is really something.
But who cares about that silly sales meeting? Let's hear more about this concept.
Oh, right. Mr. Otori shot his gaze over to me, and I sat upright.
Girls always want to feel special, do they not? This concept is absolutely perfect. Kaido, I'm assuming I have to thank you for getting such a fantastic plan out of her. No, sir. I only offered a bit of my opinion to her. The color, the theme, everything was all her own work. This is all Dirili's.
Mr. Kaido. Everyone had praised my work, but hearing Mr. Kaido talk like this... makes me so happy. Hearing him praise me like that makes me feel so happy. I closed my eyes and relished the feeling of joy.
Hey, are you feeling all right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm fine. I opened my eyes and found Mr. Kaido looking at me rather disgusted. I gave a tiny grin.
Well, looks like the concept has been decided. Keeping this love concept in mind, we're going to need some kind of slogan. Any ideas? I've already arranged for Dirili to have a meeting to discuss it.
We'll work with Mr. Saijo to come up with something to present at the next staff meeting.
Good to hear. So, we'll be testing the product and hearing that slogan in the next meeting.
I nodded deeply and Mr. Otori smiled.
I can't wait to hear what you've got next for us, Dirili.
Thank you, sir. I feel like I'm carrying this whole project myself. After the staff meeting, we began the next meeting about the slogan. In the meeting were Mr. Kaido, myself, and Mr. Saijo, the former sales chief.
A slogan about love, huh? Any ideas?
The word love is so overused, it's going to be hard to think of something original. I flipped through the material before me. The word gets thrown on anything aimed at women. We're going to have to think about this hard.
We're definitely going to need to make that buyer feel special. Women are selfish like that. They all say they hate the ordinary, but always end up interested in the blandest junk. They're an irritating creature.
Well, women are fickle. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But all I really want to do is prove him wrong.
A slogan? Think.
Mr. Saijo rubbed his eyes and moaned.
Well, it's going to be Christmas, so everything is going to be crazy, flashy, and gaudy. We'll have to avoid looking like everything else on the market.
So basically, we need to avoid any sort of red and any kind of overly romantic phrases.
Yeah, it won't look good if we try and force some crazy slogan on it. It's the idea of a first date, so something about a typical fairy tale romance maybe.
A fairy tale love story! I caught sight of the sample of the reddish pink and white glitter I had put on the proposal. The sweetness of the pink and the alarmingly stimulating red, and the white shimmering glitter made my heart flutter. What words could describe these feelings?
A fairy tale romance. It's pure. This is so much harder than I thought it would be. Dirili, anything come to mind?
I flipped through the pages in front of me and thought for a moment. Well, I've had a few thoughts, but nothing has really come to me yet. It's like right on the tip of my tongue, but I can't formulate the words. Mr. Saijo and I were both moaning with our heads in our hands.
A fairy tale romance.
Mr. Kaido, who had fallen into a deep, thoughtful silence, finally looked up.
It starts with a kiss.
I suddenly looked up at that. Huh? A kiss?
Yeah, a kiss. You got a problem with that?
No! He gave me a harsh look, and I shook my head no. I felt my cheeks flush, and I looked down to hide. It starts with a kiss. I suddenly remembered the kiss I shared with Mr. Kaido, and I began to fidget. He said it didn't mean anything, but he's been so cold to me ever since then. I looked at Mr. Kaido from out of the corner of my eye to avoid his notice. He's so expressionless. What could he possibly be thinking behind that exterior? Just when I was thinking that, my eyes suddenly shot wide and my body shook.
What happened? Are you okay?
Sorry, it's nothing. I apologized and looked at Mr. Kaido beside me, making sure he wouldn't notice me. His long, slender fingers had entwined in mine. That's what startled me. Look at that face! This is part of his torment, isn't it? He's teasing me here in front of Mr. Saijo. He continued talking to Mr. Saijo. I couldn't believe he would be doing this. We were right in front of Mr. Saijo. I can't believe he's hiding it this well. His serious, unaffected expression and the heat radiating from his hand made my heart race. That's not a serious expression, that's a sly grin. Look at that.
It starts with a kiss. Well, it sounds good, but I'm worried that it'll be confused with rouge and get rejected.
Yeah, maybe. His hand in mine, it's so warm. His fingers occasionally tickled my palm, and I could barely stop myself from quivering. He's definitely just messing with me right now. This isn't supposed to mean anything, right? Or maybe...
Hey, Dirili, you're bright red. Are you okay?
What? Really? Oh no, Mr. Saijo is going to catch on. I have to let go of his hand. When I tried to shake my hand free of his... Oh! But as I tried, a phrase came to mind. I'm not going to keep getting played by him. A love that wants to be held. In my own form of revenge, I squeezed his hand back as tight as I could. Oh, that surprised him. Well, the held refers to the hand, so I thought that it would be perfect. I gave him another squeeze, and he squeezed me back. What the? With my hand in his, I feel somehow relieved. And it's giving me crazy butterflies. How does that sound? Hopeful to see their responses, I looked between Mr. Kaido and Mr. Saijo.
A love that wants to be held. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. It might be perfect, actually.
Thank you. I'm surprised at how perfectly that all worked out, and that little act helped inspire it. Mr. Saijo looks pleased, too. But the biggest challenge is going to get Mr. Kaido on board. Mr. Kaido? Hey, wait a second. Asking for his opinion with our hands like this could be viewed as more than it is. I'm going to stay like this. But I don't want to let go. I kept our hands linked, and I looked up to Mr. Kaido. He smiled faintly, and his expression warmed.
It does leave an impression. I think it's a good idea.
Really? You think?
Yeah. You okay now?
Huh? What did you just say?
Nothing. We should have options, though. Think up a few more. Good idea. But for the time being, a love that wants to be held is our best bet. But I'm not going to lose to you, Dirili. I'll think of something even better.
Okay, then. Mr. Saijo and I continued to joke, while Mr. Kaido's fading expression went unnoticed. Ah, was he getting a little jealous there? Mr. Kaido, wait a second! I called after him, and he turned back to face me. He narrowed his eyes.
What? Did you make another mistake?
What? It's gotta be me, huh? Well, no. I'd like to ask you something. Is now a good time? It had been a few days since our meeting about the slogan. Oh, it seemed like it was right after or something. That day, only Mr. Kaido and I had remained behind after work. It's only us here in the office. The timing is perfect. It looks like we're on the street, not the office. When I got up to ask him a question, he made a mad dash out of the building to avoid me. What the hell? Get back here! I chased after him and followed him out of the building. What do you think you're doing?
If it's not urgent, then ask me tomorrow.
His response was curt and cold, but it's not just today. He's been like this for a while. When someone's around us, he acts normal, but when we're alone, he's so icy to me. It's all started to change since that meeting we had about the slogan. No, it all changed the day after we kissed. It didn't mean what I thought it meant, but it's not like it didn't mean anything. Those were his words. Why on earth would he have kissed me then? And now he's avoiding me. It is pretty urgent, actually. My stuttering answer caused Mr. Kaido to raise a brow curiously. What should I say? I shall be direct. 'Cause he's that kind of guy. Have you been avoiding me recently? After I asked him the question, he furrowed his brow and glared. That's raising his brows, not furrowing them. Before, no matter how busy we were, you'd always take the time to talk with me. But now you can't even look me in the eyes when I hand you a stack of papers.
It's all in your head.
No, it isn't. When we first started working together, he would just insult me or call me an amateur. But now he doesn't even do that, and we're not even working together that much anymore. If I did something to you or made you mad, please just tell me what I did. He's supposed to be my partner. I can't help but be concerned about why he's doing this.
Why do you care? Are you lonely now?
What? Not expecting that kind of response, my eyes widened in shock.
You're sad that I'm not there to make fun of you anymore? You're just another masochist, aren't you?
Yeah, something like that. No, I'm not. I fiercely denounced it, but all he did was smile sarcastically and stare down at me.
Then why? Weren't you getting sick of all my comments? You hated it so much, you went straight to Mr. Otori and told on me.
I tattled.
I've stopped bothering you now, so you should be thanking me.
Well, maybe. But that was back when we first started working together on this project. That's right. He knew that I told Mr. Otori about what he had said to me. But it's like I told you when I changed my makeup. I changed my mind. And the more help you offer me, the more our plans start to take shape. And that's when I knew that my first impression of you was all wrong. And before, when you... I stopped and swallowed my words. And before, what was I trying to say?
When I kissed you.
He had hit the nail right on the head. He sighed heavily.
I told you before, that didn't mean what you think it means.
But then you also said that it did mean something. After that comment, Mr. Kaido narrowed his eyes at me.
You never learn, do you? Do I have to spoon-feed you everything? Can't you think for yourself for once? And I was just starting to think you had an ounce of sense.
Huh? His words left me bewildered.
I may have thought you were just a pathetic amateur when we first started. But, as we started working together, I realized you had some good ideas. But I know that you're fine without me. You can do just fine on your own.
Mr. Kaido. Then I was right. He really has stopped calling me an amateur. I was so desperate to make him look at me differently at first.
And then, there was that kiss, of course. What I had meant to say back then.
He pulled me into a side street by the office and pinned me against the wall.
This is what I meant to say.
He pushed up against the wall of our building. Mr. Kaido trapped me in place with his arms. Mr. Kaido! I called his name, but he didn't even bat an eyelash. He only continued to look down on me, his cold eyes sparkling in the moonlight. He's so scary right now. His face is so close, my heart is pounding like crazy, but I still feel so much fear. I have to get out of here. I'll try him another time, a time when more people are around. But how are you going to escape? Thinking that, I tried to escape, but just as I attempted to break free... Ouch! He snatched my wrist and pinned me against the wall.
A love that wants to be held.
He looked at my hand he had pinned and mumbled softly.
You might be right.
Huh? I looked up at him. And felt his soft lips press against me. It felt different than before. It was a soft, fragile kiss, and I felt my chest tighten. The only thing that hurt was the wrist he still held firm. It felt like he could see right through me. Escaping his gaze, I clamped my eyes shut. With a short sigh, he lifted his lips away. Mr. Kaido? He looked down at me for a moment, wordless. Then he released my hand and walked away. Why did he... Was that kiss not supposed to mean anything either? I gingerly touched my lips, feeling the subtle warmth that still played on them. What is this? Could it be that... I love him. I think I might love him. In the quiet and lonely alleyway, I mumbled those words to myself. Well, I love him. I think he's really holding himself back because out of all the guys, he must be the one that takes the, no relationship rule the most seriously. So I think that's why he's acting funny. Well, actually, Mr. Hyogo will probably take it very seriously as well. But I expect Mahiro to take it the least seriously. Well, anyway, Chapter 5 will be Become Beautiful for me. Haven't I done that already? Well, we'll keep continuing to, I suppose. Keep getting better at it. Well, I'm gonna hop right over there. Hope to see you there or in some of my other videos. And I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.